Hello! Thanks for watching this video. We hope by the end of it you will have a clear understanding of this approach to teaching service learning, the benefits it provides, how it is practiced, and why it is important. Before we get started understanding, let's review the benefits of service learning that move us to practice it. Service learning is a high-impact practice, which empirical evidence suggests contributes to improved student persistence, improved grades, a shorter time to degree, and graduate competitiveness on the job market. General benefits to students also include development of capacity for critical thinking, real-time problem solving and self-reflection, building social consciousness, enhanced comprehension, and increased self-efficacy and propensity to contribute to and advocate for a community. Equally, service learning has positive benefits for the community by directly increasing capacity to address community needs, bringing awareness to areas of concern, providing opportunities for valuable college student interactions, granting access to scholarly expertise, and creating opportunities for programmatic partnerships and funding opportunities. There are also direct benefits for faculty. Service learning aligns with campus, college, and department goals for community engagement and high-impact practices, builds community relations and meaningful partnerships, generates positive student feedback and outcomes, and opens opportunities for community-based research and scholarship along with potential for associated funding. So what exactly is service learning, and what is it not? The term service learning is deceptively simplistic. Superficially, it implies any combination of service and learning. It is true that teaching involving some form of community engagement or service can provide benefits to students and the community in various ways. We use the umbrella term community engaged learning to describe these approaches. However, service learning is a specific form of community engaged learning. It is a teaching methodology that utilizes a core set of elements and is intentionally designed to expand academic course content and student learning goals to include civic, social, and self-reflective considerations while contributing to efforts that serve community needs. Let's look at some models to get a clear picture of the conceptual space that service learning occupies. A model proposed by Andrew Furco helps us to conceptualize service learning by positioning it relative to other forms of community engagement and experiential learning. Firstly, we have a continuum of focus from service to learning. Next, we have a continuum of benefit from recipient, the community in this case, to the provider, which is the student. Finally, we can consider the capacity for intentional civic learning, which broadly refers to the integration of reflection and social considerations as explicit course learning objectives. We'll explore this more later. So let's look at different forms of community engagement. Beginning with volunteerism, the focus is on providing services, and the primary beneficiaries are the recipients of those services, rather than the individual who is volunteering. Though volunteerism can expose individuals to civic and social concepts, it is not necessary for the service to occur. At the other end of the spectrum, we have internships. Internships are experiential learning opportunities meant to train individuals to perform a role or job. The focus is on learning, and the primary beneficiary is the individual who is learning from the experience. Like volunteerism, unless the internship is in an academic field that focuses on civic matters, internships usually don't offer opportunities to consider the social context in which work is performed. But what exists between? Well, we can say that community service is a form of volunteerism, but there is some intent within the community service that the individual learns something from their experience, either specifically related to the service setting or simply a generalization about the civic value of providing services. Conversely, we see field education, for example, social work field practica, as being primarily concerned with practical exposure to and training in a particular profession, but the agency also stands to benefit from the individual's work while they are engaged in their placement. An enhanced understanding of the social context is required to perform in these settings, so a degree of civic learning is implicit here. This brings us to service learning. Through well-structured service learning, we are focused both on serving the community and student learning. Both students and the community benefit from the service experience, and civic learning opportunities are created and intentionally integrated into the course. Now let's take a closer look at the components that make a course a service learning course. To make clear the specific components that differentiate a service learning course, let's compare them to those of a traditional course. First, we'll look at teaching methods and resources. In a traditional course, these could include texts, lessons, and example cases. Students obtain knowledge from these sources. In a service learning course, we add a service component as text. Let's look at this in more detail. The service component meaningfully addresses a community need or concern while also acting as an additional text from which students gain knowledge. Service settings are with nonprofit community organizations or government entities. Service can take many forms, from activities that offer direct vocational training to getting involved in community development or improvement efforts to activism and advocacy. Next, we'll look at how we assess the knowledge that students have gained or their ability to apply what they have learned. In a traditional course, graded assignments, exams, and papers are typical forms of assessment. In a service learning course, we use reflection assignments to examine a student's analysis of their service experiences. These assignments can take the form of papers, journals, or group presentations, among many others. Reflection is often guided by prompts provided by the course instructor that focus on a particular topic or area. Student analysis may include their understanding of what occurred, what impact it had, and how it has affected their attitudes, assumptions, and future actions in similar situations. Prompts can be formulated such that students respond from an applied academic standpoint, from a civic or social standpoint, or a combination of both. This brings us to learning goals. Where a traditional teaching model is concerned with academic learning outcomes specific to the field of study or the course, employing a service learning approach both enhances these academic learning outcomes while adding civic learning outcomes. Academic learning outcomes are enhanced by offering an experiential learning aspect to the opportunity to examine academic concepts within a broader social context. Learning may be enhanced by taking problem-based approach with an appropriately designed service opportunity. Civic learning outcomes are added which engage students in an active learning process, which can include critical thought and analysis about themselves, their position relative to others, their communities, and society as a whole. The service setting offers the opportunity to introduce viewpoint diversity into the classroom that may contrast with students' own, broadening their understanding and opening new considerations. This provides a platform for civic learning goals which assess growth in capacity for critical reasoning and ability to arrive at informed and constructive conclusions. Together, these elements comprise a service learning course and define this approach to teaching. Let's look at some examples. One example of using service as text could be having engineering students engage in a design project with an organization that serves individuals with disabilities. Students gain applied knowledge in engineering by designing solutions that provide a material benefit to those they are working with, while gaining new understanding and perspective on the experiences and challenges faced by those they are serving and the causes of these challenges. Reflection assignments prompt students to consider how the needs of those with disabilities may be overlooked, consider engineering and civic solutions, and advocate for changes that would support accessibility. Learning goals are to demonstrate applied knowledge, skills, and experience through a problem-focused design project aimed at developing solutions to overcome a disability. Students also learn to articulate the importance of technology as a tool for addressing inequity between differently abled people. In another example, art education students may engage with children at a Title I school to provide art classes. While also gaining practical experience teaching art, students learn about the circumstances of children they are serving. Students may reflect on their own elementary education experiences and explore similarities and differences to those they are serving, the reasons for those differences, how that informs their approach to teaching the children they are working with, and their thoughts about education systems. Learning outcomes could include demonstrated ability to teach and interact with children. Concurrently, students consider what some children lose when art is missing from their education, why this affects some children and not others, and what role they can have in addressing this disparity. At this point, it is really important to note some areas where care must be taken to avoid negative outcomes with students and community partners. First, if the approach to service learning calls for faculty to be directly involved in the development of service activities, they must be mindful. Faculty must always be careful not to place the learning needs of the students above the needs of community. Secondly, when engaging students with community members to provide services, faculty must be careful to ensure students do not develop or further entrench negative perceptions about the community served, about themselves, or about their role in addressing community needs. The Center for Internships and Community Engagement offers a number of resources to help faculty build and deliver effective and constructive service learning courses. These include our Faculty Handbook, Service Learning at CSUF, which offers in-depth guidance on service learning course construction, a series of workshops and seminars on various aspects of service learning offered through the Faculty Development Center, and consultations with campus experts on service learning. A large set of resources available on the Faculty Service Learning webpage. Thank you for watching. We hope you are excited about service learning and this video helped you to understand more about it. Please contact the Center for Internships and Community Engagement if you have questions.